Party people, what's going on? This is Samaj Marsh. I'm the founder of BlueDeathValley.com. I want to welcome you guys back to a special edition of Blue Death After Dark. This is not inside the valley. We had to change course a little bit. Had some scheduling issues. Right now that Hurricane Ian is I guess in Florida, is making its way up that eastern seaboard. So that's thrown a lot of things into the flux. All the high school sports and rec stuff is being moved up a couple of days. So my kids, they were supposed to play on Friday, now they play on Thursday, and then my baseball son is playing Wednesday. So we had to kind of move things around, but we definitely want to get everybody together and talk about A&T football. We couldn't skip the whole week. There's too much stuff that's transpired since Saturday. But we can jump into all that. We can open it up to the fans. We want to definitely have an extended period tonight where we get some feedback from the fans and see what you guys are thinking about. But let me introduce my co-host here. First off, former A&T wide receiver and a Greensboro native, Doug Fresh Brown. What's going on, Doug?
What's up, guys? Aggie Pride. You got a dub, baby. Yeah. You got a dub.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. And, of course, Mr. President, longtime A&T insider and a beat writer on BlueDeathValley.com for over 2 decades, the right-hand man, the brain of the operations, Mr. Craig Turner. What's going on, Craig?
Hey, victory. The sweet taste of victory.
So Victory Monday didn't really feel like Victory Monday this Monday because we got some disgruntled people in Aggie Nation. Real quick, Doug. Coach Broadway coined the legendary phrase, all wins are good wins, right? And is there ever a time where a win doesn't feel like a win? Because it seemed on Monday we came back, and I don't know if it's just Facebook or Blue Death Valley fan forum, whatever, but it just seems everyone just kind of was glass half empty, and they were just focused on the negative. Is that what you kind of sense too?
Hey, well, I mean, there's a little bit of that, but where I'm from, a win is a win. Take it how you can get it. Of course, you can always improve in some areas, but hey, man, happy to get the win, right? Against the arch rival, feel a lot better than we would have it had we not got the win. So, hey, shouts out to everybody involved. Got the dub. We're on to Bryant.
On to Bryant, right. And Craig, I think one of the reasons for some of that, I guess, this negativeness amongst the A&T fans was the lack of discipline that was displayed from both sides. This wasn't a one team deal. A&T and South Carolina State, when they get together, they seem to bring out the best and the worst in each other. And that was on display. We had, I want to say, 11 penalties for, I got it in front of me. Hold on a second. I tried to forget it, but
number
I can't.
Missing a few.
What is it? We had 13. Jeez, we had 13 penalties for 111. That's the 11 I was thinking of. 111 yards. Craig, just give me a synopsis on what you thought about the way that game was handled from both teams and the officials.
Well, it started with the officials.
Okay.
That was the worst officiating crew I have seen in many a moon. They had no control over that game, and it really started. Normally, we don't have. Let me say this first. Normally, we don't have problems with South Carolina State on the field, off the field, or anything like that. It's usually pretty respectful between the two teams. But for some reason, this particular game, South Carolina State came in with a chip on their shoulder. And I think it's because they had lost 6 straight to us, and they were determined, since they won the Celebration Bowl last year, they wanted to make a statement. The whole thing to me really began. The chippiness really got out of hand when was the second series. Yeager takes off, picks up some yards, starts into his slide at a guy from South Carolina State. try to tear his head off.
That's starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Any football player worth his salt is going to want to defend someone taking a cheap shot on his quarterback.
Yeah, and that's really where it began. The rule states, and this was a change in the rules during the summer, and I don't know if these refs hadn't read the changes in the rules. Once a player starts into the slide, it's the same thing as in the pros now. Once a player starts the slide motion, you cannot hit the guy. And it was obvious that he went straight for his head.
His helmet off. His helmet was off.
Yeah. It wasn't any question about it. It was a dirty play. And they waved off the target. And that set the tone for the rest of it.
Right. That was the
South Carolina State. Right. South Carolina State started doing a lot of talking. Of course, we got you wish that our guys wouldn't respond, but they're 18, 19-year-old kids. They're not going to let it go unchecked. But it kept going over and over and over again. I thought what the refs should have done was take an official's timeout, met with both sidelines, and told them, listen, cut this mess out. Next guy who starts some stuff is going for the bay. That would have been the way to handle it.
They tried to do that late in, I guess, the fourth quarter when they gave, I guess, everybody who on the field a blanket.
A little late then, though.
Yeah, and that's how Warren got kicked out because he got a foul shortly thereafter, and that was his second one.
The same thing that happened down in Florida A&M.
We lost.
They gave both teams a personal foul across the board for every player, and then the next player who says something or does something, they kick them out. Now, what they kicked Warren out for, I thought was petty. But they kicked him out.
I don't know, Craig.
I got video. I got video.
We're going to have to talk about that one. But
we got to look at that. But look, guys, here's the problem, I think. And you guys got to, just take a minute with me. This was the first home game of the season, right? We were on the road for so many weeks. But so everybody who's coming to Aggie Stadium, their last experience, if you're like a diehard fan and you've been with the program for a while, your last experience was what? Before this game was Gardner-Webb, right? Gardner-Webb, we had, my Lord, we had 12 penalties for 144 yards in that game, right?
Yeah. And
that was the game where Coach Washington got in front of the media and, proclaimed, this is unacceptable. I'm going to get it fixed, right? That was the last home game of the season, and after that we had that little issue, a big issue with a player that's having an emotional breakdown, and we didn't really speak on it at the time, but everyone knows what happened. They had to get police involved to escort Gardner-Webb's team bus from our facility. That's how crazy everything got outside that locker room last season. It was an ugly black eye on the program. It was embarrassment to every A&T fan who witnessed that. Hopefully, it was an embarrassment to Coach Washington. And I'm sure Athletic Director Earl Hilton and Chancellor Martin had some type of internal discussion about just that can't happen again, right? So flash forward to now, to last Saturday, and you got guys getting kicked out the game. This is the first home game of the season now, right? Immediately after Gardner-Webb, you got how many penalties? We say 111 penalties, 13 for 111. You had touchdowns getting called back because of penalties. You're on the 1 yard line. Warren starts pointing at somebody. So you go from the 1 yard line in a crucial situation to the 16 yard line, and you're lucky you scored because that usually sets us back, and we don't even get any points out, something like that. So it was a comedy of errors, and on the heels of Gardner-Webb, it just had that much of more of a gut punch. Like Coach Washington, we thought we were past this, and everyone kind of got lost in that moment. I know it's South Carolina State. I know these guys probably, some of these guys played together in high school or recruited, there's some common ties there. And, there wasn't any issues after the game. I think everybody kind of dapped it up and hugged it in the handshake line. But when South Carolina State plays A&T, it gets crazy. I remember in 2018, Sam Washington's first year, right? Sam Washington's first year as head coach. This is right on after we lost to Morgan State, and the winning streak was ended. Right? We played South Carolina State. We have a slow start. Raynard, he's struggling. Emotions are high, and we got like a fist fight amongst our own players in the middle of the field. Right? I don't know if they showed it on camera, but everybody in the stadium saw it. Guys are swinging on each other after like an extra point. And then it goes to the sideline. They got to break it up. Elijah Bell was like the peacemaker, actually. So it was a whole bunch of chaotic stuff. We go in the locker room. I don't know what they do. They must have WWE or something. Everyone comes out hyped, though, right? And we start running the ball. That's when John Martin had his coming out party. And it was Martin and Mikael Cartwright, just back to back. We ran the ball down their throat. So it was almost kind of similar to how we just start running the ball down South Carolina State's throat this past weekend. But once again, it's just like, does this team need to be, emotionally imbalanced to perform well? Is that the secret sauce? Because I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. But I do think at this point in time, everyone around the program, as an insider or even in the fan base, is questioning what's going on with our discipline. Okay. So that's a good segue.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line.
But I told you guys, to bring your hard hat. It was gonna be that kind of game, right?
Right.
Last week.
And it was a gritty game, and we're gonna talk about that. And we got to be here for a little bit, not too long. It's a school night, but we want to talk about everything. We want to give the fans a chance to comment. But we're going to bring in, I guess, a first guest tonight. This is a surprise guest. This is Blue Death After Dark. We usually just kind of freestyle it, but we actually got a chance to bring in someone who is a expert, they say, on discipline. And when I say they, Doug Brown is he co-signs that because he knew firsthand about this gentleman. He is a conference-winning coach. He I think he coached defensive ends, D-line. And he's also a proud veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Let me bring in former assistant coach on the George Small, Mr. Coach Don Hauser. Coach, how you doing?
Gentlemen, thank you so much for that. Was an intro that was probably a little bit over the top, Doug.
No.
I owe you a check, I think, Doug Brown. Mr. Turner, good to see you, sir. How are you doing, my old friend?
Doing great, Coach. How you been?
Doing good. Was thrilled to hear from Dougie today. Doug, I don't think you've aged a day in the years that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Don't feel like it sometimes, but I try.
Oh, I see. I get to follow you a little bit and see you with your family, and I sent out a comment earlier that you guys do more for me than I could ever have done for you, and seeing the dad that you are and everything, I just as a coach, it's great to see what you champs have been doing all around.
Oh, man,
so I'm happy to be here.
Coach Hauser, you got a unique perspective because you came with Coach George Small. I believe your first year here in Eggland was 2003, and that was on the heels of replacing a legendary coach and Coach Bill Hayes. And I believe your guy here, Doug, was a sophomore at the time. You're a sophomore in 2003?
Yes, sir.
And you guys had to take, I'm pretty sure it was a unique experience because there were people who were coaches who were loyal to Bill Hayes, and they had to kind of find out about your new style and buy into you guys. But you guys were able to put that all together, and in one dream season, you went in and won the MEAC championship. How important was discipline in that title
run? I don't know that coming in, we knew the importance that it was going to play. I think Coach Small might have had an idea much better than us. As far as the assistant coaches. And you're right. Coach Hayes, he most definitely left the cupboard full. We had some players on that team. And looking back and looking over the years that I've followed you guys, The cupboard's never too empty there at North Carolina A&T with the proud tradition that you guys have. But coming in, perhaps, and I can't speak for Coach Small at all, but I think he saw some things while he was an assistant coach at Youngstown State and some of the success that YSU had in the 90s. He wanted to bring a little bit of that to North Carolina A&T. And Dougie can attest to just how much of a difference that made. But I will say this. Talking to NFL scouts as they came in and stuff throughout the year and the year after and stuff like that, some people were kind enough to make a comment that they did notice a little bit of a difference in the attitude of the program, and I'd like to think that we had a little bit to do with that.
Okay, so Coach, you're a former Marine, right?
Yes, sir.
And I can tell by your the way you carry yourself right now, you're mostly a no nonsense type of guy, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think if you talk to the D linemen and the linebackers, I had them first spring. I think they would probably say I brought a little too much of the Marine Corps back with me, maybe at times.
Okay, so it was, I sat down with Coach Small and interviewed him a number of times, and he was always so gracious with his time. He seemed like one of the nicest people on earth. And would it be fair to say that he was a player's coach? Is that a fair summation?
I think having all the playing experience he had, having been part of the Blue Death family, and being an A&T alum, I think he was more that fatherly figure, and perhaps in his wisdom, that's why he brought some of us young coaches that didn't mind being disliked at the beginning of the season. So
now that was my point. So basically, they have that whole phrase, "good cop, bad cop," right? So did you understand your assignment as that you were the bad cop in that equation, that you had to be a little wrestling, they say baby faces and heel. You had to be the heel in that situation.
That's just who I was. It really was just my nature. And we had Coach Lee as well, who wasn't short on discipline whatsoever. I just think it's, again, a testament to Coach Small, just knowing the personalities he brought in. At one point, I was seriously thinking about staying at Youngstown State, and he had called me up a second or a third time. He said, "Donnie, I need you down here." And after our first couple of practices in spring ball, I kind of understood what he meant. And I tread lightly here,
I
Turner,
understand.
Doug. I don't want to say that there wasn't discipline on that team, but one of the things I always talked about.
Prior to you guys' arrival, that's exactly what we struggled with. I mean, it was a team that I think lost 4 or 5 games and less than 12 points, and like you said, a lot of talent. Just overall discipline, just within the guys, just wasn't there. And so I'll be proud to say that. You guys as a staff, but mostly you as just your mentality was just the catalyst for change in the right direction towards this.
Doug, can you point to like the tipping point where things kind of got a little bit too loose? Was it was it always like that?
I can't say. Well, I can speak for myself. I can name many a times when I went overboard. In between the lines and outside the lines. And, for me, it came to a head when Coach Hayes got fired, and I was fussing with a fan in the stands, kind of at the edge of the rail, someone who had heckled us early in the year and heckled Coach Hayes. And that was like heckling my dad. So, down in the Georgia Dome, the guys heckling us at the end of the game, and I'm over there, and I'm fussing with them, guys pulling me back, and I'm in the locker room, I'm upset. And, that staff I was really close to. So when Coach Hauser and those guys came in, those guys don't know who Doug Brown is or his affiliation with A&T or why he's here. By the time they got here, I think I got hurt in the spring. I hurt my back lifting weights. So, I'm on the sidelines watching. So I really don't, have much of a dog in the fight at that time. And it just was a tough time. But I was able to see from the sideline the change that was taking place in the spring that year, and kind of the line that those guys drew was like, hey, either you're with us or you're not with us, but we know what it's going to take. And I always say the first thing that I remember, Coach Hauser, is you guys coming in and showing the Youngstown State highlight clip, which basically was just highlights of Youngstown State's the end of their plays, right? There weren't any football highlights you could see. It was the celebration. And you guys heard me talk about that before, how you celebrate with your team. The whole highlight tape was just Youngstown State celebrating at the end of the play with their team, right? You couldn't tell what happened during the play. It was just clip after clip of them celebrating, all 10 guys on the field running at each other, celebrating with the guy who made the big play. Now notice it's the guy who made the play, getting with the other 10 guys. It's not the guy who didn't make the play celebrating it and showing his tail, because we knew you were going to have to answer to Coach Hauser, whether it was a special teams meeting. He was going to sit right there in the film with me, and I hope he gets a chance to tell you about that. But he's going to be right there, and he's going to have that pointer, and he's going to have his moment of the week to be able to call you out if you were loafing, if you were doing anything that was selfish, like celebrating or bringing attention to yourself. And it just really changed our mindset and just how our perspective on how football is played as a team, and why it's a team game, and why you don't do things to bring attention to yourself. But until that moment, until those guys got there, we were still very much playing as individuals at times. And it's easy to see when you turn on football today who's being selfish and who's playing for themselves, and the teams that play as teams and play for each other.
So Coach Hauser, how important was it to instill that accountability, and what ways were you able to do that?
Well, it just kind of it was something that made sense and went along with good football. Like Doug Brown said, the things that we instilled, like handing the ball to the official after every play, it wasn't just because that's a good thing to do. It's if we're handing the ball to the official after every play, that means we had possession of the ball at the end of the play. Celebrating together. The game's just a little bit more fun. We love the celebrations. I think I told the defensive line all the time, if we get a 15-yard penalty because the entire team's out there, I'll take those all day long. And I think maybe we might have got one of those against South Carolina State at one point. It wasn't the Florida A&M game. That was a different beast there. I think it manifested itself, and I was thinking about this today after I got the call from Doug, that enthusiasm for each other. I think, Doug, you'll have to help me with my memory here. It was maybe the third or fourth game. We went down the road to the Phoenix to Elon.
Yeah. Elon.
And our backs were up against the wall. That was a game that I don't think we were going to win at a certain point. But we picked up a fumble on the sideline, taken in for a score. And I really think that was the of the team together. I really think that was maybe, Doug talked about a tipping point with Coach Hayes' staff. That was probably the tipping point for our season that year.
Okay. And Coach, if you can, just speak on how young people are they're passionate, and they have their own little quirks. But one thing I found about young people, they pick up on hypocrisy pretty quick. And you can't be a phony around people. I mean, even little kids, they might not know it, but there's something wrong about this. Talk about this as a coach, and you're trying to instill discipline, you're trying to change the culture. How important is it for you to be credible and consistent in what you're doing?
I think that's the main key. Number one, be yourself and be consistent. And ultimately, I think whether it's young kids or high school, college, even up into the pros, I believe that, Doug, you can shoot me down on this. I think there's a desire for that discipline. I think our kids feel unloved if there's not that discipline. It wasn't tough at A&T to get that going, to get that ball rolling, because our kids already had a little genuine love for each other. and we taught them that fun is playing fast together. They ate that up. I remember the championship film at the end of the season. It led into the next preseason of the 2004 season. Our big young offensive lineman, Doug, you're going to have to help me with his name, but he looks into the camera. He says, "You want to know the secret? Be a family." And you can't have a family without that discipline. I think that's biblical.
Yeah. So Coach House, tell us what you're doing now, man, because it looks like you should be on the sideline. I hope you're not retired, because you got a lot of football in you, I can tell.
I was retired for a little while there. I ended up in a roundabout way in the chemical plants in the Houston area, which is kind of where I settled down into.
Okay. What part of Houston? What part of
it's
Houston?
the east side of Houston now. I'm on the far east side of Houston now.
Like Chip Channel, all that. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was, but
okay.
It gets a little too busy for me there.
Yeah.
So I just got back into high school coaching again this year. It just happened to work out. I am back on the sidelines. It's Anahuac High School in Southeast Texas. And I would liken this team that I'm with right now a lot to that A&T team. We've got a huge amount of talent, and we're trying to get them to figure out how to practice. And if we can do that, they can be special.
It starts with practice. Yeah. Well, there's some lucky guys, man. Lucky group of kids that have you on board. Like I said, you were the catalyst to that team, kind of heading in the right direction and getting that discipline going in the right way. And those guys, any of those guys on that team will tell you they appreciate, whether they appreciated you in the moment, they grew to appreciate you, and they knew how much fun you brought to the team. I mean, Coach House is that guy that's going to dive in the puddle on a cold, wet day, just to get the team excited and get them motivated for practice. He's the guy that's there for the team years later when he's not even coaching at A&T, when something happens and we're in the mischief and you look up, we're all out at the hospital checking on one of the guys, and in walks Coach Hauser. It's like, who called Coach Hauser? How did he know that something was wrong? But he's just there for you. And like you said, it's funny you guys touched on it, but the consistency that he provided, not only day in and day out inside the meeting rooms, but in life, there were times when you literally thought, man, I'm going to have to answer to Coach Hauser, or Coach Hauser would be disappointed in me, right? Because he set that standard, and he was the same way the entire time he was there. But the energy brought to the team, the special teams, because a lot of guys, didn't really understand what it meant to be in the military and what those values brought. And so for him to bring a little bit of that to the table and kind of, bring that over to the football world and incorporate that in the special teams, and I mean, it made all the difference in the world, man. And I saw guys really take off, like you said. The guys ate it up, and we saw it as a winning formula. And I see guys still prospering from it to this day. So really appreciate you, Coach. Like I said, those guys are a lucky group of guys, and I know when the guys get on here and see that we had you on, they're gonna be mad that I didn't let them know earlier. But
yeah, Deloach, we had Deloach on here a couple weeks ago. He probably loved to be on.
I set up at the game and talked to him, man, and you'd be surprised. I mean, that's kind of, we both kind of thought about you, but we set up at the game and just talked about what we brought to the team, and he was like, man, I don't ever remember having that many special teams penalties, and I was making returns or things like that, and we just talked about why we're like, that was unacceptable. There was no such thing as having a penalty, because coach is going to call you out. He's going to call you out for making that mistake, and you didn't want to let the team down. But before the end of the season, like you said, we were kind of holding ourselves accountable. We knew what the expectation was. Wow. And you guys set the example, and it made it fun. It made football, like you said, fast, fun, and made it easy. So like you said, it created that confidence that we believe. You guys preach believe it, and we never had any doubt. So we appreciate it.
Craig, you got anything you want to chime in on?
No, I think Coach Hauser hit the nail right on the head. It's about team first and not the individual. And hopefully, our guys will be a lot better next week and for the rest of the season.
And if so, look, I mean, what Coach Hauser and Doug are talking about is proven results. These guys won the national, MEAC championship in 2003, where they won. I think we went 4-8 the previous season. So in one off season with that turnaround, And it was, Coach Hauser and his fellow assistants instilling that culture, but Doug Brown and his fellow players buying into it. So it was a marriage, and look what it produced. Doug has a hardware show. I'm probably sure you probably had that ring somewhere too, Coach Hauser. But
oh yeah,
and that's something they can never take from you, and that's something that this group of players, Aggie players, they can obtain it too. It's right there in front of them. But Coach, you've been so gracious with your time, and thank you for coming on short notice. We'd like to bring you back if you have a chance. We can get a free weekend of high school football. We'd like to pick your brain on some defensive stuff and some more discipline stories. But thank you so much for coming out.
No, I appreciate it very much, Champ. Thank you so much. Always great to hear from you, Mr. Turner. Good seeing you, and that you're still doing this stuff for the Aggie Nation and Aggie Pride. Keep on rolling with it.
Aggie Pride. Thank you so
Aggie
much, Coach.
Pride. Thank you, Coach.
Take care.
Have a good night, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Coach Don Hauser.
That's my guy,
Man.
All right, so Doug, you earned your keep around here. You brought in a big time guest out of the blue. I didn't have to do anything.
He knows what he's talking about, man.
Yeah, and very appropriate.
It's
that was
simple
like
formula.
Man,
formula, but it works, man. But you're right on time.
And so that's right on time because I'm sure a lot of you guys on BlueDeathValley.com, you are aware of kind of everything that took place this last couple of days. You had a entertaining press conference on Monday, and you had
Coach Washington better than I am.
listen, you had a passionate fan sneak into the press conference. He didn't sneak in, but he just probably didn't understand the whole
he knew what he was doing.
He didn't read the room.
That wasn't Bobo, was it? I heard it was Bobo. It wasn't
Bobo. It wasn't one of our guys, man. But he kind of admonished Coach Washington about the team discipline issues, and at a press conference you're not supposed to scold the coach. You're supposed to ask questions, and that's it. But I think a lot of people, I think that resonated with some people. I didn't approve of it. I thought it was totally inappropriate. But some people say at least he said what needed to be said. And the whole thing is, and I was just walking around the stadium afterwards and even before. And there is a general sense that people are kind of reached their tipping point when it comes to the penalties and discipline issues with this program. Okay, and if Coach Washington and staff they weren't aware about it before, they know about it now. And that's why it's weird because we just had our first win of the season. We're 1-3 now. We were 0-3. We beat the defending HBCU national champions, and people just upset. Like a lot of people I talk to, even right now to this day, are frustrated. And I'm like, we're winning. All wins are good wins. And I guess some people hold the program and the players and the staff to a higher standard. They want to win with class. And I guess they felt some things that transpired on this past Saturday didn't 100% show that. But let's first of all let's focus on some positives, okay? Because this game could have went south real quick. The first series, we lose our starting quarterback, and this was actually a curveball because everyone had thought, well, we're going to see Eli after the performance in Duke. We're going to see Eli, and we saw him, but initially Jaeger got the start. And there was a cheap shot, like you said, Craig. They took his helmet off, and he kind of went to the sideline, kind of woozy. And I didn't know if it was that bad. To me, it didn't seem that bad. But
it didn't look the part.
Right. He was kind of wincing and blinking a little bit, but it wasn't like he was, punch drunk. But they deemed that he had a concussion pretty quickly. They took his helmet, and that was it. His night was over. So in comes who? The People's Champ. And the People's Champ, he gets, I think, a 2 series altogether and, do some read option stuff. I don't know if he even attempted a pass or completed a pass.
Yeah, he did.
They called it back. They called a
pass. It was a penalty.
First one.
And he gets caught up in a foul. I'm not sure if it was a cheap shot or what happened, but he comes out at Powell limping, and he's unable to even get to the sideline. He has to take a knee, and no pun intended, it ended up being his knee. And I guess about 10 minutes later, they already got crutches for him. So it must have been something so severe. They said, don't even play around, just get a. And so I think he's had an MRI this week. I didn't get the final word on that, but from all signals, it's somewhat severe. And I'm not sure if it's season ending, but we're not going to probably see the People's Champ for a couple of weeks at the least. So that brings us to most hated man in Aggie Nation.
Oh, God.
Because I want all you guys on Blue Devil Night to go pull back up all of those mean tweets and all the hate mail y'all was sending him, and you need to apologize because what's the word, Doug? They say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
I have to get ready. That's it.
So our guy Jalen Fowler was ready. He was third on the depth chart, and in less than about 5 minutes of game time, he was in the game. That was it. It was his show. We're down 7-0 when he goes in the game. Let me pull up the first drive that Jalen Fowler actually produced. Let me see.
This may be divine intervention for North Carolina A&T with Fowler being a Spartanburg native.
So he starts on the 4-yard line, down 7-0, and everybody in the stadium's like, "Oh man, we hate this guy. He's terrible. We're gonna lose by 50 now. We got him, right?" So he shuts off that noise and starts
of the
commanding his team.
South Carolina State Bulldogs, and big run there, and a first down for A&T. Fowler looks, throws the out. So A&T goes from a redshirt freshman quarterback to a true freshman quarterback to now.
Got a penalty, so it's already showing signs that, we're not clean right now, but we're still going to make something happen.
But now it's a golden opportunity for Fowler. 2nd and 15 after the false start. Good running there by Tootin, breaking a couple of tackles. Tootin with.
And there you go. That pretty much was the theme of the night, okay? Where we might have been down when it came to our quarterback, the running game took over. And that's the best friend for any young or struggling quarterback. When you can hand the ball off and they'll get you out of trouble, that has to be a great confidence booster.
A big run tackle so far brings up 3rd and about 3 for A&T, needing to get beyond the 29-yard line. Graves on the carry, off the left side. He dives forward. He's at the 30. Looks like he has a T30. 1st and 10 for the Aggies. The give is to Graves. Graves makes a man miss. Gets into South Carolina.
And look, that's that signature Markel Cartwright finish. And I'm pretty sure the guys were doing that in the 80s and 90s, but he really brought it to this generation where it's that, I'm not gonna die easy. That's what Walter Payton used to say. If you're gonna tackle me, you better bring a lunch. And everybody on this team right now, all the running backs in the rotation, they finish hard, and they'll put they're gonna put their helmet in your chest and make you make a play.
Down did Wesley Graves last week against Duke on 8 carries. The give is to Graves again. He's spun, and the give again to Tootin. Bust right through the middle.
Now, granted, we're down 7-0. We're struggling. We're on the 4-yard line, and now with Fowler being steady back there and handing the ball off to these guys, we're already down in scoring position.
That South Carolina State defense and has another A&T. And he's on the keeper, makes a move, still on his feet, dives across the 20-yard.
And that's perfect. Hey, look, he's not a fast Usain Bolt type of runner, but he read that read option perfectly. He kept it. He didn't just let the running back get destroyed by the defensive end. He got his nose in there. He had ball security. We had no turnovers from the quarterbacks in this game. and he got nice little chunk of yards there to help move the chains. That's what you want from a quarterback.
To the 19 in the first quarter, South Carolina State with the 7-0 lead. It's a direct snap to Tootin, who has a hole, cuts it back. Tootin on his feet, breaks the tackles in the end zone for the touchdown.
All right, so a couple things. You saw that block by Sharp, right? But you see that the play was a direct snap, right? So now
Wildcat.
It was yeah, but it was ended up being a wildcat. But they lined up. The quarterback was lined up in his normal position, but they just hiked it straight to the running back.
Right.
So it was a kind of like a misdirection deal.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, we talked about before the show, Coach Barnett is in his bag right now. This is the equivalent of being in the zone as a play caller, because he's just dialed up everything that works. We're down 7-0. He's down to his third string quarterback, who really could be the starter, and we go on a great, important 94-yard, 96-yard drive to tie this game, get that momentum back, and now it's a dogfight.
Guys, we went 97 last week, and so you're starting to see the offense pick up some momentum, getting some rhythm, have some long drives. So, and I told you guys a few weeks ago that it takes a while to getting that rhythm. We talked about Jakari Caldwell. We actually highlighted the play at Duke. When he was able to get in a rhythm, and we talked about, hey, he didn't catch the first couple ones, but by that last ball, the timing was down, and we saw him make 2 big catches on similar plays in this game that were big plays for us. So, it takes a minute, but glad to see those guys getting together, and glad to see some of their hard work pay off, because we knew they're capable of it. We knew about the big O-line. How you think the O-line played, Craig? They played pretty good up front.
They're becoming dominant. The second half of the Duke game, and this was a bludgeoning of South Carolina State's defense, and that's something you just don't see. You just don't run the ball down Buddy Pugh's throat unless you got some serious horses up front.
Well, look, kudos to the coaching staff who's been rolling them horses in and out and rotating them. And a lot of folks like, hey, why are we rotating offensive linemen? Well, you look up in the second half, and we're sending waves of guards and centers at them, and just blowing those guys off the ball, man. And it's like those guys are interchangeable. Hey, man, it's almost like a receiving core. Like those guys can come in and there's no drop off, right? And it's like coaches pressing buttons, like, give me this guy. Let's send L. Lawrence at him. Let's hit him with Corian. We're gonna hit him with some technique with Caesar. So I mean, he's pushing the right buttons, man.
And Caesar's playing center, and then I look over, and then they got Wilson.
Dak, let me tell you, between Dak, Big Tyreek, man, those guys, they're having a ball out there, man. Tyreek skipping around.
Yeah.
They really teed off on those guys, and there was nothing that they could do about it. Like, they knew they were catching it, and it wasn't nothing they could do on the other side. And that's, I mean, when you're taking a guy's wheel, and we're able to do that at times up front.
Hey, Billy J, you down there? Billy J, you still there? Turn your camera on. We'll bring you in. Go ahead, Craig.
Buddy Pugh, in some of his post-game comments, said that they just whipped our butts up front. He said he had nothing else to say but that A&T's offensive line and pretty much the defensive line beat them on both sides of the ball because they only ran for like 12 yards. And South Carolina State's like us. They run the football. They're not a passing team by nature.
I don't care who they got back there, Craig. You can hold the 12 yards. Now I know they were missing their number one guy. He is a difference maker. I'm not saying he would have been a different Saturday, but I
don't think it would have mattered.
12 yards. 12 yards.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Tremendous effort by those guys. And I think you got to give some credit to Coach Howard, man. Those guys, that's what the linebackers too. They're part of that equation. We can't leave them out. Those guys, Mr. Stuck, somebody made Stuckey mad. Y'all done pissed Stuckey off. Stuckey out there. Stuckey
best game he's played in a couple of years.
Y'all made Stuckey mad, so Stuckey out there doing this thing. So shout out to the linebacker coach, Coach Lance, all those boys, man. That run game, stopping the run, that's a team effort. So it's not just the guys up front.
Yeah, anytime you can force Buddy Pugh to put the ball up 48 times, you've done your job.
You know what? That's that. what's that TV show? The next 48 or whatever. That 48. That's how many pass attempts we had in Charlotte, and you saw how that worked out for us.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when you take a man's will and make him do what you want to do, that's like the art of war. And I think that's why those guys got so unraveled on South Carolina State sideline, where they started doing all the chippy stuff, because basically we were manhandling them.
Yeah.
And then those guys were from the second quarter on were on roller skates pretty much the whole game. We got penalties that brought stuff back, but
I thought from the punt return with Mr. Amante, Mr. Excitement. I'm dubbing him the new Mr. Excitement out here. Taking that. But God, when I've been telling you about him, and he got his hands on it. We'll talk about the month later, but he got his hands on it, and he's one of those guys you just got to get in people's way, right? You got to make a great block. Just get in somebody's way, and he'll do the rest. So we got to work on blocking for a guy like that, because he and Mr. Toot, when they get it in their hands, man, it could be a quick 6.
Hey, hold on, Craig. Let me bring in Billy J. So, Billy.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Man, Billy, was that you in the press conference? That wasn't you at the press conference, was it, Billy?
No, it wasn't me. No,
man, I wasn't sure. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
And that's gonna be one of those Netflix mysteries. We got to find out who was that dude, because
who's the mystery man?
Because it sounded like one of the Doug's cousins from his tailgate. I heard that. I heard like a little twang in his voice. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but so Billy J, you weren't the guy who crashed the press conference, but what was your takeaways from Saturday, man? Were you happy? Were you encouraged? Were you disappointed?
Definitely happy and definitely encouraged.
Okay.
You know how the phrase goes. There's always room for improvement. Well, that would be a key word that I saw, and like you hit the nail on the head, Samaj, from what Coach Bryant does. Improvement. That would be the key word. I saw big improvement in our offense, big improvement in our play calling.
Thank you. Okay, slow down. Let's not speed past that, because we gave Barnett so much hell on BlueDeathValley.com and Facebook and everywhere else, right, for having these predictable game plans, and just why you run the ball into a wall, why don't we do things, why don't we use this? He's leaving no stone unturned. Anything that in his bag of tricks that he thinks can work, he's going to do. And he played 4 quarterbacks and made them all be productive. Even Hooker got his first pass of his.
I think. And I was happy. Yeah. Let's give a hand clap for that, Doug. I was happy to see him out there. I'm pretty sure a lot of Aggie fans want to see him as well. So it was unfortunate that Yeager and Eli got a little bit banged up. But let's knock on wood and hope that those guys will be back soon.
Yeah.
And wish them all the luck. But it is like I said, Coach Barnett, he came out lights out. He didn't shy away from nothing in his play calling. He just came lights out. So I mean that's really what it's gonna take as far as when we get into this conference play, going forward. That's what it's gonna take.
All right, so Billy, if after Central, right, coming home from Central, if I told you that at the beginning of October we would be 2-3, undefeated in the Big South Conference, and got a little bit of momentum, what would you say to that? Would you take that based on all the schedule we had after Central and Duke and North Dakota State? If I told you we were going to be 2-3 in the first week of October, what would you say?
Well, I probably would possibly, dealing with the schedule that we've had.
No, seriously. I'm talking, 2-3. Yeah, 2-3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would probably say, I agree.
Okay, so would that be a good thing? Because I say if we knock off Bryant on Saturday, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be undefeated in the Big South. Everything that we wanted in the preseason is still in front of us, and attainable, right?
Yeah, right.
So I think at some point fans need to be like, hey, stop being so just so pessimistic,
so negative. Yeah.
Because and appreciate this ride. Football is short, man. It's only a couple of months. I'm sorry, Craig.
And like I agree, because Coach Washington said all wins are good wins. Doug said it, all wins are good wins, right? So, and with us being 0-3, right, we got our first win, okay? Then so I'm like, there's nowhere to go but up,
And momentum is playing football, man. You can look up. Doug, tell them 2003. Y'all just got a couple, and then that thing starts steamrolling.
That's it.
Yeah,
one behind the other, and like you said, we needed some big plays. I'm really a proponent of you need big plays at home, right? I like those early in the season. Big plays at home, get the fans behind it. I mean, we heard the roar of the crowd, those students. I mean, I don't know if I've heard it that loud in a while. But those kids need to have that energy of celebrating as a team and that energy on the sideline, and that builds character and it builds camaraderie amongst the guys. So I was glad we had those moments. I was actually glad the game wasn't a complete blowout, right? That we had some pressure in the second half. Because at this point, we've played in the second half the last 3 games. I'm pretty confident that we've given a good effort. And I saw the effort that we put in against North Dakota State and Duke. I saw that show up in the second half against South Carolina State, right? To me, there really wasn't a doubt that we went in the locker room and came back out with the way we closed the half with the defense. And kudos to Coach Washington, Samaj. You guys been hard on him about his clock management.
We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about that.
And can I say something on that?
Go ahead, Billy.
You hit the nail on the head on the clock management. That was, and several of the guys I was there at the game, and several of the guys in the stands, in the fans, said that was a key moment in the game, in really taking control. That's one of the best examples of clock management that I've seen. I don't want to say in Aggie football history.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
We had a good one last year. We had one good moment last year when we threw it up in the end zone in the first half. I think Leslie's first touchdown.
I remember that.
That was more playmaking than management.
That was so you call it clock management, situational football, smart football, however you want to call it. But that was just perfect. Perfect, example of clock management and getting more points, or having the opportunity to get more points before the half, and it turned out that's exactly what happened.
Craig, you said on Twitter, that changed the game. You said the whole game.
It changed it. It changed the entire psychology of the game, because it South Carolina State lost all momentum after that, and they really didn't get it back until late in the game, and they're already down 17, 18 points. They finally woke up and started playing some ball. But that I was shocked that Buddy Pugh got took. He got took on that one.
No, but look. You know what? And see, people want to talk down on Coach Washington. Coach Washington facilitated that because he was real shrewd. Buddy Pugh thought that Coach Washington called a timeout earlier, which he did, right? He did. I think somebody early in the game, I think it was after injury or whatever, but there was an injury on the field or it was a TV timeout. So the umpires, the referees told Coach Washington, we're not going to
charge you a timeout.
Right, but he didn't make but he kind of kept that quiet as kept. So he had to do his poker face, and he played that perfectly. So everyone in the stadium, because if you watch the video, you hear somebody on the you hear one of the officials.
Referee might say,
right. So because one of the officials had it wrong. They didn't even the white hat didn't even have the other guys knowing that they didn't charge Coach Washington. So everyone was fooled except for us. And you got to call those timeouts as soon as the play. You got to tell the ref as soon as the play's over, I want a timeout, so you don't lose any seconds. They got that thing back. You got Money Brown. He has to make the kick, so kudos to him too. But
kudos to Monte, the bouncing back after the muff punt.
Oh yeah, he ran out of bounds.
Him to get out of bounds. And I got to give another shout out to Coach Seward. I think he did a great job special team wise. You can see him coaching guys up in special teams moment, right? Those guys were ready. He had already communicated to the guys what they wanted to do punt return wise, and you can see him coaching them up. Kickoff team, like every time the camera shot to him, he was coaching the special teams guys up. So our guys were ready. But those guys also shot themselves in the foot. They got the illegal procedure on first down and backed them up 5 yards.
Yeah. No. Remember, he kicked it way in the end zone. The guy muffed the kickoff and tried to run back out. So
yeah, that was the first. That was a mistake before that when he should have just let it go.
So they started on like the 4-yard line, and then
they started on. They were a little bit further than that. They still
7.
had an illegal procedure, and he backed them up. It was
That's
first and 15.
Yeah,
and then they had the plays, and then like I said, Buddy thought they had the timeouts were exhausted. And then when he realized that they weren't exhausted, he still tried to get the guys to which is a good old savvy move by him. Like, go in the locker room and
then he saw that guy like, nah, you gotta take this. You gonna have to kick this ball.
Immediately, we're in the stands yelling, hey, we're gonna score right here. Because at worst, even if we field the ball and good kick, bad kick, we're either gonna block it, do something good. Something good gonna happen from this. But at worst, Money Brown's gonna get us 3. And to execute that, like it's a big deal to execute and make it happen. And the way the guys celebrated and kind of got the energy going and took it into halftime, I was like, yo, second half we're gonna come out and we're gonna dog these boys because we've been playing well in the second half. And I'd like to hear that we're a second half team. That means that we did some things right in the offseason, with Coach Ali, and that's a mentality that we're gonna be good late in the game. So that's a good sign, man. That's a good sign.
All right, Billy J. So anything else, last parting words that you want to put out there?
Well, I'm just gonna take a motto from my my NFL team, which I'm a Panthers fan. Just keep pounding. That's what I'm gonna say.
I got a question, man. There's a few people out there that say they want the band to move to the horseshoe and be in the middle so they can have students on both sides. What do you think about that? Behind the goalpost in the horseshoe.
I think it'd be a good idea.
We're about visiting bands at this point. I don't think visiting bands are going to be a big deal for us anymore.
With the exception of maybe Norfolk State this year. But
this year. But going forward, sprinkle in a band here and there.
Yeah, I might talk to Dr. Ruff about that one.
So Billy J, before you go though, we got to talk about that halftime show because. And I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment and be like, oh, this is the greatest show ever. But this is, man, I'll be honest with you. I usually cut out, try to, go to the restroom or get some soda or something like that. I stayed on the field and watched this performance. And the way they incorporate the cheerleaders. I guess it was like women's appreciation.
It was like a women's appreciation theme. So, it fit perfect.
That was an awesome show, and you can't say enough about Dr. Ruff and Tiffany and everybody. I don't know how they be having the time just to change it up and just. I mean, it's like going to Tanger Center downtown and watching a Broadway show. That's for whatever 10 minutes. That's the entertainment value you're getting about all the pageantry and stuff going on. That's something, that's what we've always done, and as a staff, and I'm pretty sure that's what Dr. Ruff's vision is, and the whole staff, it's all about, entertaining the crowd. That's what we always say. We come to entertain. We don't come to, just play just for the, just for the heck of it. We come to entertain. We come to put on a good show. That's what it's all about. And so I'm pretty sure those guys like Dr. Ruff and Tiffany, I know all those guys that, and the staff that when they brainstorm, they brainstorm and come up with some really creative ideas. And so, the product shows on the field. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And I'm not like quote unquote a band head or whatever. Craig calls them band geeks. That's inappropriate. You should never say that word. But I'm not. But I am.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. I take that. We take that as a compliment.
We know who that comes from.
Yeah, really.
And they even had Spike over there dancing. Spike even made his way over there.
And South Carolina State mascot was rocking the spot on that at that halftime, man.
Yeah. I'm glad they got a new one though.
Yeah. But I'm saying that's awesome. We're gonna try to get some band representation on this show pretty soon. Probably
Doug, you should get your sister on here.
We're working on it, man. She run a tight schedule, man. She don't have time for baby brother, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Billy J.
out there. Get on Tiff out there. Tell us what's up.
I'm gonna tell her too, man. We're gonna work on it. I'm gonna tell her
Okay.
she's been summoned.
Yeah.
All right, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, so thanks for coming out, man. Checking out, and I guess we'll see you. You gonna be there Saturday?
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday.
Rain
weather
and shine,
permitting.
baby.
Rain and shine.
Yeah,
Weather
rain. Yeah.
permitting. Oh, Billy, now you know we out there, man. Even if it rains, you good.
All right. If it rains, I'll be out there in the poncho.
All right, my man. Appreciate it, bro. That's Billy J, big time supporter, frequent visitors to the show.
You know who else we failed to mention who was on that game, who knocked it out the park Saturday. Mr. Level. Was Joseph not? Was it? Did we not set it up for him? Him on the tooting call, he nailed the tooting call. Yeah. I mean, it was a perfect night for him. It was a Joseph Level type night out at Aggie Stadium, right?
Yes. Speaking of that too, let's go look at that next drive, man, because I got some more video I want to show y'all, and because so right now it was 7-7, and what happened here? So
starts here in the first half. Full back.
So now that first half was back and forth. So South Carolina State they score again, and I think we blocked the extra point, and so. Halfway through, 6 minutes left in the second quarter, and we need to respond. Right, this is important. We don't want to be chasing these guys a whole night. We need to respond right then and there. And one thing we didn't mention, Craig, is Barnett. He increased the tempo. This was the same tempo that we had when Brick Handler was at Duke, and he saw something. And even though Fowler is not as quick twitch as Brick Handler, he saw how the whole offense worked better when we just went up tempo. And the plays were getting in quick. We get lined up. We're ready to go. South Carolina State started showing some fatigue at this point, and that's when we start pouncing on them.
He simplified the offense is what he did. He simplified it and went basic RPO, traps, screens, and made use of the short outs and the 50-50 ball. And he kept it to where there wasn't a whole lot of thinking had to be done. It was all about read and reaction.
Okay.
Comes in motion. The give is to Tootin off the left side. Tootin is
going to keep the ball on the ground here, try to pound this drive out.
It's a keeper.
And that's important right there. If you're just a nervous Nancy, you want to get that ball out your hand. You don't want to be the guy. You're just a guy. Then you hand the ball off to the running back, and he gets stopped in the backfield, and then it's not 2nd and 5 anymore. It's probably going to be 3rd and 9. But Fowler saw that DN's crashing. That's the read. You got to watch the DN. That DN crash. He kept. Fowler's not going to score a touchdown, but he moved enough of the chains to keep that drive going, and that's what you want. And look at that ball security. He's not going. Fowler might not fumble for the rest of this year. I don't want to jinx him, but he is.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't even say it. Don't even go there.
Okay. All right, I ain't go there. but it's great technique on holding that football because he's been my.
Sends the fullback in motion. Give is to Graves. Graves gets across the 40.
Trying to get the correct call in. Big 3rd down here.
Play clock at 2. Fowler has it. 3-step drop. Fires and has his receiver. Burkhalter makes the.
So look, it's 3rd and 5. That's not that's not the hardest throw in the world. So it's a little quick out, but we've seen Fowler miss that throw before. We've seen a lot of guys miss that throw. You miss that throw, you're punting, and you're probably, going into halftime down, right?
Yeah, but it goes back to what I've been saying really since the beginning of the season. We utilize the running game. We're built to run the football. We're loaded at running back. We got a great offensive line. Run the football, master the short game. If we do that, then we'll have our opportunities to take hits down the field. But if we do that, we can score on anybody. And I think it's proven now. That's you were asking for an identity as far as this team was concerned, as far as offense, we've got it now.
Yep. I mean, that's the truth. We are it's not even smash mouth, man. We just cracking skulls. These boys are not playing.
Reception
by South Carolina State.
Give this to Graves, who was hit. Ball at the South Carolina State 48-yard line. Jalen Fowler on the keeper. Fowler is hit. Penalty marker comes out. As
we'll wait for an update on his injury.
Yeah, these penalties are kind of killing us, but they're not deadly, though. We're able to bounce back.
Fowler drops back, setting up the screen, is caught by Tootin. Gets upfield. Tootin breaks a tackle. Tootin, 4 yards.
Trying to pound this drive out.
Motion. Looking one-on-one. 15 on the play clock. Fowler, the quarterback, on 2nd and 5. Play fake. Looking one-on-one. And Burkhalter.
I thought that was
PI.
I thought it was PI. That's what I was trying to highlight.
Obvious. At this point is when I realized the officials. And I told you guys last week that the officials were going to have a say in this thing. You know, it matters where they come from, how they call the game. So
they were awful.
They were awful. And some of the calls Saturday, I attribute to them. Like, maybe we don't have 13 penalties. Maybe we were more around the 10 mark. You know, maybe we only deserved 11 instead of 13. But I don't think they did a good job controlling the game, managing the game. And then there's some calls that they surely missed. This one was a big one because we don't know that we're going to go in and score right there, right? We're still down at this point. But that should have been a pass interference, or at least holding, you know, because the guy had his jersey the whole time, and I could see that section UV, row 26.
Well, to our credit, we didn't let that deter us. We still kept the eye on the sparrow and went down there.
It's going to be incomplete. Goes in motion. Fowler pitch toss to Tootin. Tootin makes a man miss. First down yardage. Dives into the end zone.
All right, real quick. Once again, I hate being a prisoner of the moment, right? Because right then and there, I want to say that might be one of the top 10 plays I've ever seen in Aggie football. This guy called. First of all, the play call was so incredible. You talk about a shovel pass. When have we ever done that? And I mean, and I was telling somebody else about a shovel pass. I was like, it's a great play because if you drop the ball, it's not a fumble. It's just an incomplete pass, right? So it's really safe. You do a shovel, they don't see it coming because of the angle, right? It's almost it's like a perfect screen. And then we gotta go back. Did you see that initial cut that Tootin had?
The Tootin crossover.
Goes in motion. Fowler pitch toss to Tootin.
Jeez, that cut right there, and then he hits this guy. He breaks his ankles, and then he still finds a way to get north and south.
Makes a man miss. First down yardage.
Rack it up. Now that's the best flip I've seen in 20 years, easily. You know,
this is like Tariq. This is like Tariq against FAMU in the end zone.
Hey, and like I said, guys, he'll back it up, man. He's one of those guys that when he touches it, he can go. So we don't have time to look around and see where he's at. You got to be blocking for him. If you're on the perimeter, keep blocking your man. Stay on your guy. And when you hear the yell, let go. Because we got guys watching the show. All right? We need you to go block. That's the difference between a big run and a touchdown, a long play, right? You got to get in the habit of continuing to block and knowing that he's back there making something happen.
And look at where he's at. Look how he breaks down. He's crossing this guy over. But to be in that position right now, where he's dropping his hips, he's leaning towards the sideline. For him to pick up that much momentum that quickly, accelerate that quickly to the goal line is freakish.
Makes it
right there. Like, that's elite. Most people can't get in that position that he was initially in and then transfer into full sprint mode in half a step. That's not normal.
Man miss. First down yardage. Dives into the end zone. Touchdown, North Carolina.
What a play now.
Now watch Tootin celebrate, right? He's coming over to our side.
Beautiful design. Puts that left foot in the line. Fakes out the defense. Goes airborne. Touchdown, North Carolina A&T.
And you heard the crowd when they saw the replay. At that point, man, I mean that took all the wind out of South Carolina State sail, and then compound that with what we just talked about before with the clock management and the muff kickoff, and then the kick. I mean those series of plays, I guess that probably span maybe 3 minutes in real time, changed the whole outcome of the game. And that's when you talk about your offense and your special teams and your coaching staff all complementing each other, and that's winning football. Okay. But so we saw that, right? That's the good. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the negative. Okay. That's transition. Let's talk about things we got to improve on. Because obviously you don't have 13 penalties for 111 yards if everything is just copacetic and clockwork. Right.
So we don't be totally one-sided. South Carolina State had 12 for 109. So
right now, you know what? That might have been because South Carolina State's bell cow running back, Flowers, that's his name, Flowers. So so the word is that he was like in the doghouse and he got disciplined and he didn't play at all.
No, he got concussed. That's what. That's the official word that came out of Orangeburg.
Right. And what's the official word on Jermaine McDaniel? Right. That's right. You see my point. So coaches have a way of using that injury list to hide some other stuff. So the word I got was that he was in the doghouse, and South Carolina State knew that they were going to not have their top guy. So maybe, just maybe, Coach Pugh said, "Hey, let's see if we can get these guys out of character, right? Let's see if we can poke that bear and they lose focus, because they might be more talented than we are on paper, but if they're getting fouls and 15-yard penalties and stuff's coming back, we might have a shot." That's just something to think about, But let me show you.
That's a FAMU move.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a FAMU move.
And styles make fights, and we brought some teams down. I think North Dakota State, uncharacteristically, well, Duke had more penalties than they typically have. We had less than they did, and teams, they play a similar style or a style that we're more accustomed to. So I think some of that is we kind of feel comfortable in the kind of matchup we were in, and we played them at their game a little better than they were expected, but we were comfortable playing that way, and we were still able to win, but. Obviously, that doesn't translate over to our conference and conference play, and you can't win that way because those guys aren't going to make those mistakes. And we knew going in the game, we said it. South Carolina State is going to do some things that mess themselves up. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot and do some things that hurt themselves. And they did when they had some momentum. They had some bad plays and some untimely penalties, and same old story. But go ahead.
So let me show you. I think the most disheartening thing was that it was some of our best players who got caught up in all that craziness, right? And Jacob Roberts, he's the best defensive guy we got. I'm not, Taekwon King's up there and Stuckey, but if you ask me, the heart and soul of that Blue Death defense is Jacob Roberts. He's that good. He makes so many plays. He's a leader. But he got caught up in that mix too, and he was a culprit of some bonehead stuff. Let's just show you.
The Bulldogs up another 15 yards. Good defense here.
So this is where it started. This is where a lot of things. We talked about Jaeger getting that cheap shot, so that's kind of put the impression in our head that we this is going to be a long day. But this is where I think I kind of identified as a moment where Jacob Roberts kind of lost his cool. So he's in the pile, and
you see nowhere to go.
And so right now he's kind of, I don't know what you want to call that. He's giving this guy the business.
On that.
He's laying on this. He's laying on this guy, and it's probably a little, this unnecessary. So number 52, number 78, they don't like it, and watch how they kind of resolve the issue.
Playing, not even well enough alone. Tasty.
So they pull him up, and they get a couple flags. But one thing about Jacob Roberts, he's not gonna be manhandled. He didn't like that at all, and he has a long memory. Okay, so that kind of stuck with him. So
after the play with the push and
by Amonte Jones.
So this is where I would say, okay, good. You know, you got mad, but you let your football do the talking. So a little bit later, Jacob Roberts is on special teams. And you remember last year, I think he had 2 blocked punts against South Carolina State in Orangeburg. And lo and behold,
Monty Jones off that last punt. New return, but Aggies are in business.
10:48 left here.
So lo and behold, Jacob Roberts gets some sweet revenge, right? He gets some immediate revenge on that dirty play by South Carolina State. If only he could have left it at that. So now Jacob Roberts is mad and he wants to continue the issue.
As we're tied at 7 apiece. At his own 26.
So this next play later in the third quarter, we got the lead, and he's on another punt, right?
And the punt was blocked, but we're gonna have whistles prior to the snap.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
You can't.
You can't walk somebody's face, put your face mask on their face mask, tell them whatever, right in front of the officials. This is what the kids that they say, what they say, on site means on site. Like if I see you at the church, the barbershop is on. He's just like, I don't care if there's officials right there. I'm gonna get what I got off my chest. And he's talking to this punter. I guess he's saying, I'm coming, I blocked one, I'm coming again, right?
Very fortunate. Forcing another punt. Now South Carolina State can't even get a punt off here. Got to regroup.
So he goes up there, he's doing the gritty right in front of the punter, right in front of the officials. Okay, this is the best player, and I'm picking on Jacob Roberts because he's the best player. I didn't want to take a backup person. I'm using him as an example, and we got a ton of videos where we're going to show him being, one of the best players in FCS football. But I just want to highlight him because I think he's man enough to take it. Okay, but that permeates through the team when your captain is doing stuff like that. So here we are late in the game. We're up by 11. Tootin just let's go.
Pulls his way forward.
Tootin just runs over the South Carolina State guy, gets down to the 1 yard line. Still a lot of time left in the game. Right? It's still a 2-possession game. You've seen crazy stuff happen where teams come back and look. Gardner-Webb last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, Doug, what is Warren doing right now?
And he didn't get in, but I'll tell you what, he laid the wood to.
That would be what's called unsportsmanlike conduct. And
right.
I'm pretty familiar with unsportsmanlike conduct, but mine was more directed towards the referees. The few that I got that were yapping at the referees.
You cut out the middleman, huh?
I can tell you what Coach Hauser would say, because I play wide receiver and I know what it's like, and especially it's such a big moment. But again, when you're watching what's going on, you're inclined to cheer for what's going on, right? And that was us cheering and being excited for a big play. But Coach Hauser would look at that film, and if you back it up, you'll see like number 2 comes off the line, and he's kind of running this guy off. But what Tootin did, he pretty much did by himself on that side. It wasn't because of anybody that the receiver unit blocked on that side of the football, on the opposite side of the field. So, my thing is, and what any coach would say is, what did you do that was so great on this play that you felt the need to celebrate, right? Like, again, we talk about celebrating with your teammates, celebrate with Tootin, right? He's the one that made the big play, or celebrate with the offensive line who made some good blocks. But on this particular play, we didn't touch anybody. We ran into the end zone and kind of, peacocked a little bit and kind of front running and showing off and embarrassing an opponent, right? You always try to have a little respect for your opponent, because that could be you on the other end of the getting clapped in your face. And I've been there too, where it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun and you got to kind of eat that. And so the biggest thing is you got to set the example for your teammates. We're trying to cut back on penalties, and on the stat sheet it says 13. Well, that's one we shouldn't have had, right? There's no reason in the world that we should be up there clapping in the opponent's face after we've already received a blanket blanket unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the team. As the official said, on the entire team, And everybody in the stands, and if you want one over there, you can get a sportsmanlike conduct penalty too. Like he was handing them out to everybody who wanted one after that point. So you got to walk that fine line. And I thought the two that we received were both warranted. That one and the 106-3. You can't be there throwing punches, man, with all that was going on. So,
and Warren, like I say, I'm picking guys who are big time players.
Preseason Big South, preseason
right.
all Big South, man. First team all Big South. That's not just in your play. That's in everything you do. You got to show it.
He was a game captain. He came out there for the coin toss, right? He's a game captain.
Not anymore.
And you get kicked out. And the people said that they had a question of how he was received when he got back on the sideline. Seemed like Coach Washington kind of gave him a pat on the butt and was not irate, probably which I would have been, but you don't know what.
Well, your job as a coach to pick. Well, he might not have known. Well,
right? You don't know what was said.
Sometimes you don't know what the action is,
right?
Or if at first I thought 63 maybe it was an accident the way he kind of walked off the field, or maybe it was the wrong guy. Then Loach laughed and talked about how he got kicked out of the game the year in 2003 and had to miss the first half of the Hampton game. He wasn't even on the side of the field that the mischief was going on.
Right.
They just saw him walking off. It was like it was 34, right? So we got instant replay and other things now, but you can't put yourself in that mix, right? If you're celebrating with your teammate and your teammate's running over to the sideline, then you're not even in the mix, right? You're not mixing it up with other team. Get up, hand the ball to the referee. Don't show up your opponent. And to me, you'll see your opponent. That hurts just as much, right? That hurts just as much. If we would have pounded South Carolina State and just got up, went back to the huddle and did it the next play, they'd have been just as bothered because it'll irritate your agitator when they're not getting under your skin. So they definitely tried. There were plays after the whistle where you could tell they were trying to give us the business, and there were plenty of plays. Some other guys we could call out that guys were giving guys the business and putting guys in the dirt and doing all that stuff. Man, I understand it. I've been there, but when we're trying to have a little change in some of that, it's a team effort, and you just can't do that stuff because it will wind up costing you down the road.
Yep. We got another guest. Let me bring General Jen.
I don't want to be added. I'm good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, but I don't want to be added. I'm good. I'm listening for you. But
I'm
just enjoying the show.
Hey, so you sent me a message. You said you can't hear. Is the sound low?
It was really low in the beginning, but you're good now.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for helping us out with that. Because
hey, let me say something though.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys and what you do. They're very important to the program.
Thanks, man. We appreciate that.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So before we let you go though, man, just give us your take on discipline. This is just kind of the theme of the night. Do you think it's much to do over nothing, or you think it's a serious issue?
I'm gonna tell you just like this. Yeah. From 2015 on up to now, we've had an issue with 15-yard penalties. That was Broadway and Washington. It's just not Washington.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if you want to look at the history, sitting in that Atlanta Dome in 2015 and sitting in 17, 18, 19, 20, we've had plenty of flags of personal foul, misconduct, taunting. We've had it all.
Yeah,
but that's been our edge, if you think about it.
Okay,
it's been our edge.
I know who he's talking about.
It's been our edge. Now we as older folks,
stuff, right?
We get upset.
Right.
But at the same time, we get hyped with them because we know what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's kind of catch-22.
Hey
Either
guys,
we gonna,
Guys, let's be honest, okay? And Doug, you know this more than anybody, okay? It's not a normal thing to go outside and run into another grown man who weighs 200 pounds. You have to be motivated or wired a little bit differently. That's you don't just be born on this earth and say, okay, I have an instinct just to run into somebody. So football is you can't look at it like corporate America, right? I use the expression, people, they love breakfast, but they don't want to see how the sausage is made, right? So there's a lot of things that goes on that makes guys ready to play a football game that you can't do at an HR meeting in your office. Okay, that's so it's apples and oranges. However, we just came from Fargo, North Dakota, right? And we saw the flagship program in FCS football, and they weren't doing some of the stuff that we saw Saturday night. I'm sorry, they weren't. And if we actually are trying to get to that level, I think we need to at least find out what it is they do and see if we can apply some of that stuff. So I understand about how you got to have an edge to yourself. I agree, right? You can't be a choir boy and win football games. But there's got to be some way you can turn that thing at least down a little bit at crucial times. And yeah, you got to be able to master your emotions. You need emotional energy to play football. You can't wake up out of bed, groggy and go win a football game. You gotta be juiced up, but you gotta control that juice, man. And
I think control is the key word. Like Macy was saying, Coach Hayes wanted control thugs, right? Or that's how he turned it. He kind of spun it, but you have to have that sense of control. And you also mentioned, you don't want to shut it off or be able to turn it or flip it up and down, because I had a coach that always say you can't turn it on and off like a light switch, right? That was his Coach Norwood's key saying. Like, you got to be ready, you got to be up, and you got to stay on, but you also have to be under control and be able to harness that energy. I think there's times when we're still energetic, but we lose focus, right? And that energy is out of control, right? So we're up, we're celebrating, we're dancing a little bit more. We still have energy. That sideline is hype, but we're more inept to make that mistake or that penalty, right? To allow South Carolina State to extend a drive to score a touchdown, and now we're an 11-point ball game instead of 18, right? So it's just learning, and it's still a learning process, but learning how to win. This team still learning how to win. They don't have a lot of wins under their belt over the last 2 years, right? So being in that position, I think it's a positive that we were in the position to be up, right, and finish, unlike we did against Gardner-Webb. Like, you have to learn how to finish ball games off and to put the pedal to the metal. Hey, guys, last week we start partying and relax. We had those penalties, let them back in the game. This week we come in the game. Let's close it out. And I think if you look back to our season last year when we had, I think Robert Morris, we blew them out pretty good. And I think Northern Alabama, we were up on them, and Northern Alabama snuck back in the game, right? And we saw as the season went on.
Yes, and
teams continued to.
That was a precursor. Yeah,
right. We got up on Gardner-Webb, but by the end of the wheels kind of fell off there at the end. So I like to see us again playing better in the second half, learning how to win again, because we aren't the team of 4 years ago or 5 years ago that knew how to win in their sleep, right? So we're learning how to the right things to do and what it takes to win week in and week out, regardless of your opponent, right? Because the way we'll have to win may be different next week, or the style in which we have to close the team out may be different. So last week was, again, those first 4 games, to me, the schedule looked hindsight. I love the first 4 games, right? You played your rival, you played 3 good non-conference opponents, one of them being South Carolina State. And I think that game got us most ready for, what we're going to do down the road.
Okay. All right. So how should I say? Is it Jen Tao? Is that the pronunciation?
Jen Tao. It's a nickname.
Jen Tao. Okay.
Well,
what? Okay. Yeah. So you study the Eastern arts, or you're a philosophical man or something?
I'm a Renaissance guy.
I got you.
Just keep it simple.
Man, I can dig it. I got it. All right, man. Hey, so look, don't be a stranger, man. Maybe
I won't. I check out you guys every week, man.
I gotta ask you a question. I gotta ask you a question before you go, man.
Yo, what's up?
That wasn't you at the press conference, was it?
No, hold on. Hey, say something.
Yo, for real, I thought that was your man right here. For real.
Nah.
But that dude was serious though, wasn't he?
We're gonna get to the bottom.
We're gonna do
a search of who
was. We'll find out that guy. That guy was. He's classic.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night now.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, you too. Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach Wash better than I am, man. Because he handled it. In all seriousness, he handled it with a lot of class, and I think he was kind of caught off guard at first, but he let the guy say what he had to say, and I'm glad. Kudos to Bryant for stepping up there and kind of shut the guy off. Coach, he's better than I am, man. Because I've been there. I might have stepped in for him, man. I said, "Come on, man. Let's." First question: That's your fault, Thriller, because you're supposed to ask the first question, man. You weren't there to
I wasn't there,
to get
man.
the thing
Hey,
rolling,
look,
man,
I picked the wrong press conference to miss because I might have edged it on a little longer.
Come on, man.
I like to have a follow up to what this man said now, but really no. So here's the deal, guys. They have these they have a press conference every Monday at noon, and it's usually it's either in like the Moore Gym lounge or it's in the student union, and they try to turn it into like kind of like a marketing deal to where they invited the fans to get that one-on-one experience with Coach Washington. Not like a meet and greet, but you're able to kind of like just be a fly on the wall. So, but I think they chose the wrong event for, because a press conference is really stale and vanilla. It's not like a whole bunch of, it's not entertaining at all. Like not, it's the same 5 or 6 reporters, and they got a deadline. They got to get something on the air in 4 hours, right? They got to have something by 5 o'clock. And so they just have like a whole boilerplate of questions. How was the last game? What about this next opponent? How's the first win in the Aggie Stadium? What do you think about, so they're going to ask this mundane questions. And that's when I try to get in there, and I got some information I got to talk about. I have a podcast to talk about for like 2 hours. I got to find out some answers. So that's when I kind of throw my stuff in there. And Coach Washington, Coach Washington is true serum, and he's a football guy. So I think me and him have a good respect and rapport because he likes me asking questions so he can actually talk football. He don't want to just hit the whole cliche. Oh, the whole, everybody knows the coach speech. He likes somebody kind of picking his brain. He wants to talk because he's smart. But when you got people, this casual fans in the background, and they bought like a $5 lunchbox, you got to make them understand you're just the fly on the wall. You're not supposed to be involved. And so this gentleman, obviously, the spirit got into him, and he felt that he wanted to ask a question, but it wasn't a question. It was a statement. It was the Gettysburg Address. He got a little
manifesto.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he might be kind of embarrassed.
The Mad Aggie. Where is the Mad Aggie?
But I'll tell you this though. I'm pretty sure Coach Washington has heard all that stuff before. He's probably said it. He's probably been that guy who was admonishing Coach Washington. He's probably been that dude to his staff and to his players. He's probably had that same message and that same tone. Look, you're doing this for something bigger than you. You get this block right here on your helmet. You have a legacy to uphold, and you're not living up to the standards when you make bonehead plays and penalties. So he's probably said that ad nauseum to his troops. But in the public press conference, that's definitely not the environment for it. But
Coach said he was going to address it, and it would be addressed. And the last time he said that, we came out and had 4 penalties. So maybe we didn't talk about it much after we had 4 penalties against Duke. Maybe we thought we
was solved
under control.
Yeah, it was solved. Yeah.
I will say the guys, that game was different than the other game that the guys that played. It was ratcheted up a tone. Like I said, Central at the central neutral location in Charlotte was, that game was an anomaly in my book. It was a little different. But this one had the feel of a true HBCU atmosphere, a home game that, that's the reason why those guys came to A&T. And so I just think that just the level of excitement and just the hostility of the game kind of played into it. And, our normal offsides the legal procedure, we didn't have any offside penalties, I don't think. We almost jumped once. But our normal legal procedures and a holding here and there, those to me are normal football penalties. We didn't have any late hit personal fouls or out of bounds, those sorts of things. They were unsportsmanlike after the whistle, unsportsmanlike conduct. So I still take a deep dive into the type of penalties and when they occur, where we were in the ball game, were we trying to make a drive? Was it a drive killing penalty? Or was it a bonehead penalty? Was it a selfish penalty? So those things matter, and there's a little bit of everything. So we're gonna continue to clean it up, and we'll look at our sample size. I'll give us a clean slate heading into the Big South, right? As coaches will preach, we're 0-0 right now.
And that's a good segue. We have about 15 minutes, guys. So we're gonna wrap this up pretty quick because it's like I said, it's the middle of a busy week. I got football. I got football tomorrow, Thursday, and baseball. Geez, and then the storm. So the storm is coming Wednesday, Friday night. That's when they're predicting the rain to get here.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday morning, from what they've been saying, will be the heavy time.
So what's the chance? What's the outlook at 7 p.m. on Saturday? What are we looking for?
You're probably gonna be raining. It's probably gonna be raining at 7 o'clock in the morning.
At night.
That's a 7 o'clock night game. It may very well be out of here by then.
Oh,
but it may be because this thing is tracking west now. It's looks like it's going to come in somewhere around Port Arthur or Fort Myers, which puts it west. So I think from Winston-Salem to the mountains is probably going to get really heavy, but it may be just moderate rain here during Saturday, then clear out of here by sometime early Saturday evening. So we'll see.
Okay. So let's talk about Bryant real quick. Oh, we got a Clarence here. So hold on, Clarence. We'll ask you in a second. Clarence is the number one Coach Washington supporter. So we want to balance out all the negative stuff because he's gonna tell us why we're off base by criticizing Coach Washington. So you get prepared for that. But real quick, Craig, we got Bryant University. The first time ever we played this outfit. Where are they from? What state are they from? What's Bryant from?
They're from Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah. They're in an NEC. When they came out of the NEC, the Northeast Conference, where they had been for quite some time. They had won it up there of the last couple of years. They were in that conference, and then with all the realignment, they ended up in the Big South. Coming into the Big South while we're leaving out of the Big South. So these two teams have never met.
Two ships passing in the night, huh?
Two ships passing in the night. Two teams that are totally opposite of each other as far as styles and how they play the game. It's going to be interesting. Bryant has lost 2 games this year in double overtime.
Yeah, they're 1-3 overall, right?
Yeah, they're 1-3. They got their first win this past Saturday, 31-29. They beat Long Island. I think it was Long Island. So they went on as time expired. They hit the 39-yard field goal. So they're a team that scores a lot of points and they don't stop anybody.
I like to hear that.
That's pretty much been the book on them for this year. They're averaging 31 points a game, but they're giving up 38. They roll up roughly about 400 yards of offense, but they're giving up nearly 500 on defense. So they're been basically a first half team, and they come out the blocks pretty well. They like to swarm to the ball. They're not the biggest team. They're not the most athletic team, but they're very sound fundamentally. And they like to swarm to the ball on defense and on offense. They like to do the duck, what I call the duck and chuck. They throw it out. They like to keep it simple. They use their tight ends. They run a lot of crossing patterns, use their tight ends, and they try to run a lot of draws, a lot of screens, misdirection type plays on them. They've got a pretty decent quarterback in this guy by the name of Zevi Eckhouse. He is what I call an improviser. He doesn't do anything he's not overly great in any particular area, but he's good at about everything he does. He's a good runner. He will take off under pressure. He will get happy feet from time to time. And he will occasionally try to force the ball into places where no ball should be thrown. Right. So, he's hitting on 63% of his passes.
Hold on, real quick. So how many interceptions do we have? Just Was last
What
week
is
our
it?
first?
But as far as team, we got 3 total for the season.
For the season, right? So we had
Right.
we had 2 last week, right? Did we get 2 last week?
Yep.
We
had King got
King.
Excuse me. Taquan King got one off the tip ball from Roberts. And didn't Avarion get one? Mr. Cole got a second one.
Yeah, Cole got a second
one.
one.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right. So
this guy's thrown for 3 interceptions, so that comes a wash. He's 63% on his passes, 7 touchdowns. They live and die by the pass because running the ball, they're only the best running game they've had is they're averaging right around 98 yards a game. They're gonna throw it.
It sounds like Robert Morris.
Very, very much so.
You're describing Robert Morris to me.
Yeah.
I got some video. Let me. Hey, Clarence, give me 1 second. I'm bringing you in and we want to talk to you. So let me bring in. I think I have a video of Brown. This is they played
Bryant.
Florida. Bryant. They played what was
Florida
it?
International, week 1. Down in Florida, I believe.
And then they played
pretty
away
well,
from
man.
the upset.
They had those guys beat.
Yeah.
James steps up across the middle. Fournier. Oh, it's popped out, and a flag comes in.
Who that remind you of, Doug? That's the kind of stuff we do. Look, so they're winning by 3 points. It's 4th and 10. And my man was like, nah, I'm about to light this dude
up. Across the middle, Fournier. Oh, it's popped out, and a flag comes in.
Yeah.
This may be targeting, and FIU may still have hope.
He didn't have to do that. Let's take a look here, see if this is targeting. Lowering the helmet right into the helmet. That's targeting.
Like it. Can Bryant hold on? James. Far side. Meehan makes the catch, turns and gets 5 more yards down to the 40. 2nd down.
That prevent zone.
Has a pocket. Here's Chambers, makes the catch, turns and can't take a sack. James goes to Chris Mitchell on the far side. He makes the catch. Mitchell's.
Listen, I know they try not to get beat deep, but I swear, if that's what their secondary looks like, jump ball U's about to have a field day. If we don't have like those torrential winds and rain or whatever, if we get a little bit of luck from Mother Nature, we about to put up pinball numbers because they're not gonna be able to stop the run. And then if we do play action, and they got these 5'8" cornerbacks out there, I like what I'm seeing so far.
Still on his feet, but then shoved out inside the 10 with less than 9 yards. Gabriel.
They go to overtime.
Butter. Overtime in Miami. Zevi Eckhouse. First play. Eckhouse. Touchdown shot. Far side. Frederick.
That's your guy that you was talking about, Craig.
Yeah.
That was a nice little rainbow pass.
Yeah. He's their best player.
Okay.
Did he bring?
He's the straw that stirs the drink. If you neutralize him, you neutralize them.
Okay.
Bring it in. Anthony Frederick. James, home run shot to Chambers. Incomplete and a flag.
Now this dude over here on this corner, they was picking on him. And I watched like the edited highlights or whatever, the condensed game.
Mm-hmm.
And they was just picking on this dude for like the whole highlight film. Like even the first half, they was just throwing at his guy. So he's somebody you can definitely target. Number 10.
James will hand off to Wilson. Cuts back. Inside the 5 and spun 4. James to Chambers. Incomplete again and another flag.
That's number 4. Different guy.
Gonna pick up the flag. 4th down. James in the gun. Looks near side. They're going to Chambers. He makes the catch. Tyrese Chambers, touchdown FIU. James has the snap.
Going for 2 for
Near
the win.
side, Wilson held on. FIU wins the game.
All right, so I can't watch bad football too much longer, but so that's that was Bryant.
Geez.
That's our this week's opponent on Saturday, and the Bryant Bulldogs. We got back-to-back Bulldog opponents, and this one looks a lot less athletic than the one we just played this past week. You know, I do see some opportunities that I think we will have the advantage in. That coaching is going to probably be the difference. We're going to have to see, can Barnett keep it going? You know, a new opponent that we don't have a lot of film on. Can he put together another innovative game plan? And how serious it's going to come down to how serious is Coach Washington about getting this discipline stuff fixed? Because if we play clean, we shouldn't lose, you know, based on what I'm looking at. But if we start doing the crazy stuff, all bets are off. So let me bring Clarence real quick. My man.
Hello there. Craig, I finally found a link that allowed me to get on. So
yay!
Oh man,
come on.
You were shadow banned, man. We were shadow banned. We want to make it tough for you, man. Hey, so first of all, before we start, let me give kudos. I know you're not on the marching machine staff, but I gotta give props to anybody remotely associated. That was one of the better shows I've seen, and I can't remember when. Had everything for, you know, I'm a novice. I'm the layperson, but sounded great. They had some formations, all right, the artistic formations. They incorporated cheerleaders, which can't be easy because you got to have them come to your practice, and everything's on a mathematical count, right? Everything's on a count. You can't just be like, okay, go ahead and dance and figure it out. You got to be somewhere.
We work at it. Let me just put that out there.
Right.
I try to tell people this is the fact that the A&T band, the Blue and Gold March Machine, is so good is no accident. Those guys put in 20 hours a week. So, hey, you know, that's a part-time job. Most of us, if we had a part-time job for 3 or 4 months, we'd be pretty good at it too. So anyway, yeah, they did I love that. Love them including the cheerleaders. I thought that was great. I've got a granddaughter that's does competitive cheering, and I keep trying to convince her to come over to A&T. I think because we got all this over here, but
she's gonna have to be with it to do all, because they were doing the Tariq Cohen flips and everything. They weren't just, you know.
She's in Tennessee auditioning this week, so yeah. I can't. She's already been to Clemson. She's been to Tennessee, and now she last is NC State. Can't get over to Greensboro for some reason or another. But, okay, so you guys got about 10 minutes left. What do you want to know?
I want to know. You've been outspoken, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you have any more faith in Coach Washington? And do you feel like he can re-steer this ship and get it back on the rails?
I have no idea. Well, we will find out.
Okay.
I know everybody was dogging my man who spoke out at the thing. It was so funny. I played golf Monday, and so I missed the I missed the conference.
It wasn't you.
Yeah, and so I got on YouTube, set the phone down on my car seat as I was leaving the golf course. And I heard this voice, and I thought, holy crap, I know exactly who that is. And when you guys find out who it was, and it's public knowledge, I will never tell anybody who it was. But when it's become public knowledge, I'm going to tell you some funny stories with me and this guy when he was in grad school. So anyway.
You know what? No, listen. How about this? I want to send an invite out to that gentleman. You know about Blue Death After Dark and Inside the Valley. So look. If you brave enough to go to a press conference, why don't you come on our show next week, and then state your case. Tell us what your mindset was of why you felt the need to do that.
Let me just say this: this guy ran with or wanted to be a Jesse Jackson. I think he's a 68 grad.
Okay.
But he's cut in that same mold, so it don't bother him.
I guess
to be outspoken.
Yeah.
And the chancellor knows exactly who that was.
I think I know who it is now. Yeah. Okay. I think I know who it was. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
All right. So one other thing, if you guys if you want to put this out to all the people online, if you want to see a first-class athletic facility, go out and look at this at Bryant's athletic facility with its indoor. It's a weight room that opens up and goes out into the practice field, and I
saw that. Yeah,
have you seen that video?
I think Aggie 2039 posted it on the site.
It is fab. Now they have the same deal that Waffa's got. You know, Waffa is a host of the Panthers spring practice, and they've got a lot of facility. Yeah, man, a lot of stuff down there. So we just got to get us a pro football team to come in and use our facility, and we'll upgrade everything, and it'll be great. So anyway, so that's all I got. But yeah, I don't know whether Coach Washington. Let me just say this: y'all don't like the fact that that gentleman spoke out. But to me, as I said on
that's not it. That's not it.
Whether it was appropriate or not, I told somebody that, and my note was, okay, so you invited your drunk uncle showed up uninvited to the Thanksgiving dinner and told all the family secrets. That's what happened, and in the fact that it was, whether it was appropriate or not. I mean, come on. Sometimes you ask some questions that may not be on the list of approved questions for Coach Washington. So we just it's out there, and we will see whether or not it gets addressed or not. But I can tell you, the gentleman that asked that question, he ain't going away. He is tenacious. He will be around. He will be in the stands Saturday night raising hell. If they get some into the same mode, just like that.
All right, Clarence, and thank you for supporting us. No, for real. But this is why I say that. This is be my response to that. We're about to get out of here, but I hope that gentleman, if we have a better performance on Saturday and we have cut the penalties out and we play clean and smart and we make Aggie Nation proud, right? Yeah. I hope he comes and maybe not to that press conference, but I hope he comes on our show or another platform and state that, because I don't want everything just to be what we're doing wrong, because we got to balance it out. That's the thing about this fan base. Sometimes we don't balance it out. This was a victory Monday, and everyone is talking about everything we did wrong. And I understand you want to be perfect, right? But let's also take a deep breath and say this team has finally got a win under their belt. They got some momentum. Let's praise the coaches. As if we're going to criticize them, let's also, if I'm not saying you have to. It's not like we got a quota. We got to say this many positive things. But if you've been honest, there are some positive things you could take from that performance. And I don't understand why fans of a program don't want to acknowledge that also. That's my take.
Well, you got two groups, and I'm in one of those camps with a lot of those old dogs. Yeah. We are more concerned about the image and the future of the university than we are about wins and losses in athletics. I'm just sorry. I mean, I know that doesn't sound right, and I know, but that's what we're after. I mean, when I was in school, the reputation of A&T wasn't as polished as it is right now, and over the years, it has gotten to be great. It is a great institution. That last commercial I just saw published today talks about the number of where we stand as far as graduating professional students and stuff. But so my group is more concerned about our image and standing in the community than we are about athletics. That's just the way it is.
That's fair. All right, Clarence, we're gonna let you go, but we'll talk next week then, man.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna see if I can get my buddy to come on.
Yeah, find our boy. Tell him I want to talk to him. I will.
All right, guys. Thanks for it. It's a great show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right, Craig. So we almost at 2 hours. Let's take us out of here, man. Put a bow on this, and let's just wrap this show up. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Well, depending on what the weather does, if it does turn out to be hurricane-like or heavy rain, we'll have the advantage because we run the football. Plus the fact we're playing on grass field, they're turf babies, so that will definitely have some. Definitely be to our advantage. They're a good football. They're a very sound team fundamentally. What we've got to do is not make mistakes, not turn the ball over, don't shoot ourselves in the foot. If we do that, we have better athletes than they do. We should win this ball game by 2 touchdowns.
Doug, give me your analysis, your outlook on Saturday.
Same deal, man. I'm looking for us to come out and continue some of the momentum that we had in the second half. I look for us to run the football well, make some big catches regardless of the playing conditions, because we're going to need to throw the football at some point, and it may be raining in another big game. So I still think you come out and try to move the football, do what you do. Look for us to take control of the game early, put it away late. Look for the Aggies to win big and get our first win in the Big South. And like you said, head into October, 2-3 and in first place. So that's all you could ask for at this point in the season. But 0-0 right now, and it's time to go to work.
And you know what, guys? Ironically, if you ever visited our website, our fan forum, we got this long running thread about the grass at Truist Stadium.
It's an advantage.
And this could be a serious advantage for us this week because, like you said, Craig, these are turf babies. They're used to running on that fast stuff. And
it was an advantage last week. South Carolina State, same way it was only their third football game. They were off last week, and their turf team had played on turf fields. And I think coming in, there were instances where I don't think they could get their footing like in the manner that they would like to. And then we just looked right at home, man. It's like playing in our backyard. Everything clicked. So
all right.
It's an advantage.
So we'll see Saturday, 7 p.m. I'm glad the game's a little late. Get a chance for that rain to move out. And maybe, won't be too. I think it's supposed to be cold, too. I think I saw somewhere it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, it's going to turn cold. Yeah, it's going to turn cold.
So y'all better bring your long johns because it's, I think fall is about to really kick in. You're about to start feeling it now. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, but let me give a shout out to my 12-year-old down the hallway. He had his first baseball game tonight. That's kind of why we're doing the show on Tuesday because the rest of my week is packed with sports. But my youngest son had a baseball game and playing 14U league. He's only 12. Got him an RBI. He should have been stretched out to a double, but he got my speed. He has
sundial.
He has my speed. I'm kind of poor man's Fowler, in my heyday. So, but he stretched it out to a single, and then stole some bases, some wild pitches. Then got thrown out at the plate. So we got to work on the quick twitch stuff, Doug. I'll bring him over to your house, man. You and
I got him.
Get him and DJ together. You can do some routes or something. But
yes, sir.
Yeah. Until next time, for Craig Turner, Doug Brown, I am Samaj Marsh. This has been Blue Death After Dark. Thank you guys for sticking with us and helping us move the date. Y'all, we still have a lot of people in the chat and a lot of guests. But until next time, we'll see you just at the stadium. Aggie Pride. Peace.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.